Okay.
I guess it'll be safe to leave my shoes down there on the beach, huh?
Yeah, I think so. Well, hopefully today we'll have a little more slow-paced.
Yeah, I hope so.
How's it look down there?
Oh, well, looks like there's waves crashing up against the rocks and moving everybody around, and you know,
Boulder breaking force?
overlapping one another and pushing things down to the bottom.
Excellent.
Just right for diving.
Excellent.
Right?
We shouldn't have any trouble staying down.
That's right.
Mom, they aren't giving up. But it's been a long time, Mom. It's been a long time that they've been working on him. Realistically, if he breathes, probably won't have much chance of recovery.
Well, why don't you come back down here for me?
They're working on him, Mom. I'm so sorry. He's going to heaven. Straight to heaven, Mom.
Life was always an adventure. Every day was a question of what to do.
But we always had a great time. We saw many back road areas of Idaho on these trips. Many times on these trips, the comment would be, I wonder where that road goes.
Probably some of the things I remember most about Steve went back from the fact that we were close in age and we always did stuff together. In Ingham, we lived in the basement. Well, Dad was building the upper half of the house while we were down in the basement, and I don't even remember what it was. All I know is that we were in the tub taking a bath, Steve and I together, and I got upset at him for some reason. I don't know why it was. I crawled out of the tub and slugged him and then went off running to Mom. And we did a lot of that.
I think there was probably about 7 years between Stephen and I, I'm not positive. And about half that between Alan and I. There was a lot to do in Ingham. Of course, we had our bicycles. Stephen and Alan, they both had big-wheeled bicycles. My bicycle had wheels about this big, and so every time we went over to somebody's house, they'd take off and go, and I'd be pedaling trying to keep up with them. And just about the time I'd get there, well, they'd be done there and go somewhere else. And so, well, it was always a day late and a dollar short, I guess.
Not only did I grow up with Stephen, but I grew up with Alan and Sid, and I was the little brother. And I was the one that had to run the fastest to try keeping up. And it didn't really work because they always left me behind anyway.
I'd show up for church and he'd be out in the foyer or hallway kind of greeting some people, and I'd walk up to him and give him a big hug and say, "Hello, Brother Wood," and he'd say, "Hello, Sister Velasquez." I figured everybody in the whole ward knew we were brother and sister, but I later found out that not everybody realized that, and I wondered what they thought of us hugging each other like that in the foyer every time we'd meet.
The one thing I don't remember is the teeter-totter that Grandpa Wood built us. And we've got a picture that big honking teeter-totter, but it doesn't stick.
During the lunchtime, Stephen would always let Alan drive and would always let me have shotgun. And I always thought that is so nice of my big brother. And Grandma Wood would always make us a gallon jug of Kool-Aid. And it took me 30 years to figure out that Steve sat in the middle because he drank twice for every time we drank once, passing that Kool-Aid back and forth. He was always a step ahead of us.
When we got to Mink Creek, the thing I remember about Stephen was the singing when he milked the cows, is because it seemed to soothe the cows and comfort them to hear his voice. And then every once in a while he'd squirt us. We'd end up getting squirted by him.
Steve was fast. He was faster than greased lightning, and he could hit me 3 times while I was thinking about hitting him once, you know. He bet me, he said, I'll bet you I can shoot 7 shots faster than you can with this pump rifle and you using that semi-automatic. And so all I had to do was pull the trigger. And Steve could pull the trigger, kick the shell out, put another one in, pull the trigger, kick the shell out, and put another one in, and he beat me shooting 7 shots. Comes by it naturally because one of the pictures shows Dad showing Steve or teaching Steve how to shoot with a .22 rifle.
When I was in junior high, me and Stephen and Sid shared a very common interest in antique cars. Many a day I got out of school with my brothers to go look for old cars.
Probably all the way along, we did a lot of stuff together. I mean, when we rolled the pickup truck, we were in the pickup truck together. Actually, Sid was there too, but Sid was in the back in the stock rack with all the tools.
There was probably a 75-pound roll of barbed wire. There were axes, the big long crowbars, shovels, picks, you name it, all the tools were back there in the back with me.
I remember one time I think Stephen and Alan were going duck hunting back when it was fairly cold and a little bit of snow, and we had an old shell on the old red Studebaker, and while they were in the house I climbed in the back, hid so they couldn't see me, and it wasn't until we got down by Inkom where they were hunting that I popped out, and I'm sure that I shortened their hunting trip quite a bit because I got cold.
Remember going one time and I hid in the back of the pickup truck and watched him make out with his girlfriend down in Inkom.
Probably the youngest things that I can remember doing with Stephen is when he and Leah were dating and they would take Laurie and I along on their dates, and we would sit in the back seat and they'd be in the front seat just singing away and harmonizing, and we just loved that. That was a lot of fun because he treated me like his little sweet baby sister all the time that I can remember.
Stephen and Leah had joyously looked forward to their trip to Hawaii to witness the birth of their 12th grandchild, baby Niley. This they were able to do on the 23rd of October, 2000.
Sherry called me. It was pretty late at night, and she asked if Ephraim was there with me, and I said yeah, and I could tell immediately that something was terribly wrong.
She just heard from Hawaii that Stephen had been involved in a scuba diving mishap and was under life support, but they had done brainwave tests and that he was not responding to that.
I waited for Alan and Sid to stop by my house, and we all went over to Mom and Dad's together.
It's a night that I won't forget. But it was a good night. It was a good time to be family.
It's not something that a parent should have to go through.
Losing a big brother and a hero is hard. How lucky I was to have him for as long as I did.
He was one that I don't think he had to worry about sleeping at night. I don't think there was ever a time when things that he did would cause harm to somebody else.
Part of the purpose of a family is to help each other out and be there for each other and, you know, do what we can to make life easier. And I think that's the way he lived his whole life, is we're all here as human beings to help each other out.
I think that the thing that I learned most from Stephen was how to treat other people with love and respect and kindness.
From the time I was born, he was always there. And he's still there.
Steve was the best big brother that could be. In every way, an example to little brothers.
On the 24th of October, while scuba diving in the ocean with Billy, Steve had trouble breathing. Somewhere on the trip back, Stephen looked with spiritual eyes and said, "I wonder where that road goes."